Hey, listeners! And for those of you who are just listening to the show, I bet you're wondering, what does ice cream have anything to do with SMBs and how they're surviving and thriving much faster due to speed and agility? Stick around because Anna Green, head SMB for Asia Pacific and Japan at AWS, is returning to the show, and we are having a debate on the best flavor of ice cream. No, seriously, we are. But we're also talking about it's now the fast, no longer the big, that are surviving and thriving. But you also want to stick around because I'm going to tell you what the best flavor ice cream is. Shh, don't let her know. But it's... Did you know that in order to start a business, it used to take months of planning, paperwork, and finances just to get the idea off the ground? Now you can start a business in under 6 hours. Stick around because not only are we talking about the best flavor ice cream, but how it's the fast, no longer the big, that are surviving and thriving much faster. Find out how SMBs are agile, innovating, and closing the skills gap as we sit down with Anna Green. Do not forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify, because we always have more awesome content on the way. Oh, and I need your help. I need you to comment down below on your best flavor of ice cream, because Anna and I are discussing some of the unique flavors that are out there, and you're not gonna wanna miss this. Please join me in welcoming Anna Green back to the show. Anna, thanks for joining us.
Hey, John, it is great to be back, and obviously talking about my favorite topic, small and medium business in Asia, Pacific, and Japan.
So, Anna, in our last episode, you gave us some insights on SMBs and how you don't have to be big to thrive, but it depends on your speed. Today, we're talking about SMBs again, but more interestingly, how small businesses can become a big brand and how that's possible utilizing public cloud technology. Let's just jump right into it. Take us back to how technology was and why you feel SMBs are becoming big brands.
Yeah, well, I like to kind of reference what the customer landscape has looked like in the past and what it looks like today. So in the past, it probably would have taken you about 6 months to start a business. You've got to go and register the business, and then you've got to make sure you've got the funding, you've got to go to your bank, you've got to get the relevant regulatory approvals. All that has to happen. Today, it can take less than 6 hours to start a business. Again, in the past, if you were going to create an IT service proposition for a business, and maybe you wanted to build a data warehouse, or you're a business that needed to do that, that would take you a year to build. Today, it takes you an hour. Again, something called ERP, which I'm sure that you know about, John, and maybe some of our viewers and listeners would have heard of, would have taken years to build an ERP. And today that can happen in minutes. And of course, the biggest thing, of course, is making sure that you have enough money to start a business. And in the past, that would have taken a huge amount of capital investment, lots of thinking around how you're actually going to invest in building your business for the future. And again, I know that having run a bank and understanding exactly how much process goes into businesses being able to borrow money to actually invest in starting a business. Today, you can get manageable and predictable investments done almost overnight because of the change in the way that companies, the way consumers have engaged with lending platforms. So the entire customer landscape has changed. The entire business landscape has changed, John. And I would suggest for SMBs, that's really good. And certainly for what AWS is trying to do, which is democratize the provision of IT services to anyone, so that large companies and large institutions who are using our technology get the same level of service proposition that small businesses do when they want to start out. And that, to me, is a very cool reason to be working at AWS, and also to be thinking about building this technology for the future.
All right, so Anna mentioned our last conversation. If everybody takes a look up here, I provided a link to our latest episode where we did talk more about SMBs. Okay, Anna, you mentioned something where the landscaping has changed, and I had a chance to work in SMBs and big brand businesses. All SMBs that I worked with had one thing in common, which was the hardware and the hardware procurement process. And I imagine that cloud eliminates this need for the most part. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to IT services provisions, the cloud completely simplifies the process. So as the SMB grows, the IT infrastructure that it needs to grow will increase and will change. And what AWS and the services we provide try to do is to support our customers, regardless of where they are on that journey in their IT ecosystem, to get what they need to be successful to grow. So by using cloud, SMBs can provision exactly the amount of resources they need. They can identify the amount of resources they need. They don't have to pay for a huge on-premises infrastructure to anticipate how their customer or their business might grow. They can simply use AWS services and almost like electricity, turn it on, turn it off when you need it, spin up a server when you don't, bring it back down. Like it's a very different way of thinking about a service proposition for IT. So, often I think as well, people often think, well, isn't it safer if it's here with me in on premises? And in fact, that's not the case. So AWS has invested so much, and indeed we have to, because we're servicing, military organizations, organizations that have high levels of sensitivity for their data. So the security that you can get on the cloud as well, with respect to the work that you have to do and the infrastructure that you have to do, is second to none. So again, different ways to think about business models, but certainly moving to the cloud reduces your infrastructure spend for sure.
Now, you mentioned this security stuff, and AWS's shared responsibility model comes to mind right away. And if you talked about maybe a year or a year and a half ago, shifting left was the theme, and it still is. Like, put everything on AWS because of how secure they are. Let them do all the work. Does that also apply to small businesses just as much as it does to enterprises?
Absolutely. So all of our customers have access to our service at exactly the same native level security standards as each other. And AWS is built to be the most secure platform in the world. So, these things are things that are increasingly becoming important to businesses when they think about moving their businesses or even starting their businesses online. And so what we try to make sure that people understand is that, as you say, we have a shared responsibility model, but our native level security is the number one priority for us as we've built our infrastructure. So security for us, number one priority, making sure that our customers are secure.
Would you say that AWS has leveled the playing field for small businesses as well as enterprises because you get the same type or the same level of security, no matter if you're big or small? So now you get to utilize it and you get access to the same stuff the big guys got?
Absolutely. And again, if you're thinking about what the big guys are doing, this is stuff that they have to have it because it's regulatory requirement. So if you as a small business are accessing that, it really does make sense for you to think about moving or even starting your business in a cloud context, because security, as I said, is native.
When I think of small businesses or small to medium businesses, I start thinking about small places using cloud technology. And when I say small places, like mom and pops and little shops, but that's not the case. What technology has done is it's increased the uses of advanced technology like AI, ML, robotics, gaming. Have you seen an increase in SMBs in those areas, and not just the enterprises where they're able to invest in those, but now SMBs are able to increase their skills, increase their uses and awareness of those?
Absolutely, John. And if you think about it, all of those big companies started as SMBs, particularly the digital and the gaming companies. They start very often as two people shops in the back of somebody's garage in a lot of instances, experimenting, using our services, thinking about how to use them in ways that are different, are interesting, change the customer experience. So when you think about small and medium businesses, you may just be thinking about traditional mom and pops, and certainly we've helped them. I mean, I love the example that we have an ice cream business in India where they were wanting to build and grow their franchise, but that they were challenged with that because they were reliant on old systems and processes. And what happened was that they moved across to the cloud, and what they were able to do very quickly was just to scale their operations. And then COVID hit. And of course, because they'd moved and scaled their operations, they were able to ensure their supply chain was certain, which meant that they could survive, build, and actually grow during what was a really challenging time for a lot of small businesses. And they saved up to about $200,000 in costs every month by moving their infrastructure across to the cloud, which, for a huge enterprise, maybe that doesn't mean anything. But for a small business who's starting and wanting to grow, that is impactful and it's meaningful. And as I think we spoke previously, costs and reducing costs is one of the biggest imperatives for SMBs as they're thinking about being successful for the future. And cloud technology helps them do that.
And I have to jump to a quick question, totally off the cuff here. Did they have a number of flavors, or did they have to limit it during COVID? I'm really curious.
I'm also curious because it was an Indian ice cream manufacturer. And what I know for sure, working across Asia Pacific and Japan, being a deep lover of all things to do with ice cream, is that like the traditional vanilla chocolate strawberry flavor that we have come to love. And I'm from Australia, so that's where we fall on the ice cream agenda. Different flavor profile across Asia Pacific Channel. We've got some pretty exciting flavor. We've got green tea happens a lot here. We've got a lot of like lychee. I'm living in Singapore now, so the type, black tea, black sesame. There's some really cool ice cream flavors, John. So come on over and at least make that a reason why you come and visit. And I'd love to hear from our viewers as to what is the best, most popular ice cream in India.
Okay, I know we got off the topic, but comment down below, what is the most interesting or the best flavor? And I think I might have to take you up on that trip to go ahead and test out some of those. Bring the family. They will be my taste testers and quality assurance.
Yes, which I assume when you tell them that that's the reason you're going, they will all just run to the airplane. So yeah, it's a good reason to do a family trip, John. Ice cream.
Dad has to go for work. Dad has to go for ice cream. I think ice cream wins. Just saying. Okay, and I want to go back to it, but that's pretty cool. I know in our previous one we talked about the skills and skills gap around it, but now that these SMBs are taking more of an interest in AI, ML, and robotics and gaming, I have to ask, are they experiencing a skills gap, or are they looking internally training? Where are they getting it? Or are they able to do this with the existing employees or personnel that they have to go ahead and grow their business?
Yeah, interesting question. So AWS commissioned a study across around about 1,000 businesses in APJ to try and learn more about the impact of COVID on SMBs in particular. And what we found was that 29% of SMBs classify themselves as innovators, which is cool. 27 are early adopters, 24% are early majority, and then 20% are the late majority. So perhaps not surprisingly, John, the SMBs that are at the forefront of transformation are really heavily dependent on technology, but they also understand the value of technology and what they're building. But I think saying that, we need to recognize that a lot of SMBs don't necessarily understand the transformational impact that digital technology can have on their businesses. And we spoke about this in the last conversation that we had, which was digital skills are going to be needed by, I think we spoke about those numbers, but they're so impactful. So let's go back to them. 149 million workers today have digital skills across APJ. By 2025, we are going to need 819 million workers with digital skills.
That's like here and then like way up here. Like that's just an astronomical number.
Well, the more that I spend time in technology, the more I understand about the way that businesses are growing. The opportunity is exponential, and therefore it just makes sense. The corollary of that is that you're going to need people who understand how to use technology in business. So SMBs are no different. So what we need, or what SMBs need to do to prepare for the future, is actually identify the skills that are going to be needed in their particular business to thrive. And what they should be doing is training their teams. If they haven't already, investing in training their teams and helping their teams to upskill and also to reskill, because there's a lot of people out there who are scared of change. That's the other part that, I think we need to call out, because it is confronting if you've spent your career doing something manually and then somebody's trying to show you how to do it online. So helping your teams and your staff to go through the process of digital transformation, investing in skills and time to get them to train and learn it themselves is really going to make you a successful business for the future.
So, and have you met Stephan Orban?
I haven't.
No. Okay. The reason I asked, have you read his book by any chance?
And again, I haven't. So you're
Okay.
calling me out here, John.
No, no, no. Okay, first of all, because I think you are literally echoing every single thing that he has said in his book. By the way, I just finished it. It's called A Head in the Cloud. Yes, I got it while I was at reInvent. It was over by the marketing booth, whatever. They gave them out for free. A very interesting book. And in the back, he had a lot of people who were providing case studies or expertise. I want to call Stephen out. Stephen, you should talk to Anna first because she is literally echoing everything you said in this book. Okay, the Cloud Center of Excellence, right? DevOps, right? Your DevOps turned into Cloud Center of Excellence, but you just said you have the teams already. You have the in-house, and he literally says that in his book where he's telling. I think you're on the same wavelength. Okay, being Amazonian, yes, I swear it's right there because you literally talked about where he mentions you have your teams, train the small ones, right? Then grow and have those people go out and help educate those who have ambition, those who want to innovate, those who want to experiment are in there. And that's just totally mind blowing that I literally just read it and you said the same exact thing. And I wasn't calling you out, by the way.
No, I'm super happy that I mean, it's to me, it's just common sense. We have an amazing, and at AWS, we've got an amazing workforce. But all of those small businesses out there, they're working really hard. They've got amazing people in their businesses. But to adapt and change and to make sure that their businesses are going to be successful for the future, they really should be thinking about helping their teams to make that change to a digital business model. And what we see is that the businesses that are doing that, the early adopters, the ones that are transformative in the way they're thinking about not just the use of infrastructure, but also advanced technologies like AI/ML. They're the ones that are seeing results, not just with their own businesses, but also their customers, because the customers are having this amazing experience that they otherwise wouldn't have had if we hadn't been using those higher level services like data and analytics and AI/ML, which really changes the ball game in terms of your customer experience as well. So yeah, I'm so pleased that there's lots of people talking about it, John. I'm pleased that it resonates, but to me, as I said, it's common sense. It's also the right thing to do by your teams. It's also the right thing to do by your people, helping them on the journey to what is the future of the way business is going to be done.
Okay, Stephen, I'm calling you out. I want you to join the show. I'm going to reach out to you. Yes, you say it multiple times in your book. I want to bring you on because I'm going to say that and agreeing is echoing your same things. And I think you need your second book, or I think he wrote a couple of them. Anyway, she needs a little piece in there. Just say it. Okay. And I want to add a couple of more things to it. You mentioned train your teams, and now skills. Skills come into play where you have all these advanced technologies. Now SMBs have access to all these technologies that enterprises really had to invest in. And they spend tons of money back in the day on, and SMBs can afford it. Well, guess what? Now SMBs can afford it. How are they attracting this top talent from these enterprises versus the enterprises do? I mean, obviously money plays a factor, but I think there's a lot more innovation allowed within SMBs versus enterprises and able to just do and run, but that's just my personal opinion. How are they attracting this talent?
Well, I think, we touched on this before. The future of our workforce are all those people out there who are already using technology. They're deeply involved and interested in the use of technology. And the other thing about the workforce of the future, and even the workforce of now, is that they want to be involved in businesses that are invested in doing good things. Now, that doesn't have to be at a global scale, although in my view, it always should be. It can be local, and it should be for small and medium businesses, because that's where those communities, the teams and the customers that they're going to be servicing are local. So having a purpose-built agenda for your business so that your teams feel like they're building something that is helping their local communities, whether it be around sustainability, whether it be diversity and inclusion. These are things that are important to our teams. They're important to the people who work in all business. And these are things that should be part of driving the future of business more broadly. And what I know for sure, and when I'm talking to our teams, is that these are things that resonate. People are not calling me to talk about what's going on with the EC2, what are my compute or storage proposition. Like, yes, we have those conversations, that's part of business, but the thing that really makes a difference for people in using digital technology is the way in which it can impact the environments that they're operating, the communities in which they're operating. So, you know, it may seem a little bit trite, John, but technology is all about people. It really is. And driving outcomes for peoples and communities that we operate in. And small businesses are, in fact, the best holder of that flame across the entire world. They are the ones that are driving change in that context. So again, it's why I love being a part of this business, because I see the small businesses driving that like real-time community change in what they're building every day for their customers in their local communities.
And sustainability. Okay, reinvent, well-architected new pillar. It was an echoing theme and really a driving factor behind the force. Now, I'm not going to change the subject to sustainability, but I do think you and I have an upcoming or another podcast that we need to schedule with regards to this. By the way, yes, I'm putting you on the spot. It's a whole topic we got to talk. We don't have time to do it now, but what do you think?
My last name is Green, John.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. That's pretty good. Okay. So Anna Green for sustainability will be on an upcoming and future podcast. You heard it here and it's been recorded. All right. Okay. The last question before we wrap things up. Anna, how are SMBs embracing easily accessible technology? And are there any other examples that you can share? I know you shared the ice cream story, which I think I might have to make a trip out to, but how are others embracing technology?
We have just so many amazing examples of SMBs embracing technology. And I think last time I spoke about Gourmet, which was the fantastic meat provider that went from and I like to use this as an example because it's so meaningful. Going from an Excel spreadsheet to a cloud end-to-end processing system actually makes a difference. Building a website actually makes a difference. So these are just the very simple ways that SMBs can use technology to get online, to start experimenting, to grow their business and their customer base across more than just their local community. As we are thinking about a change in the way in which customers are engaging with their teams and also their customers, they need to be able to do it in a way that allows them to deal with the change in what's happened post-pandemic, work from home, all of that sort of stuff is starting to be so much more relevant. So customers using video conferencing for different types of solutions is another really great way to think about using cloud technology. And then I always like this one too. We had a customer example, Phoenix Publishing, and they wanted to create an affordable business solution for their teams, and they provided content for textbooks and other educational resources for public schools in the Philippines. And what they did was they moved to cloud early, and that allowed them to be really scalable. And again, during the pandemic, they were able to use online learning resources to reach about 90,000 schools. And that's, again, completely changes the game. Not only are they helping the community, but completely changing the business model that they can scale out to their customer base. So thinking about how cloud technology can just very practically help your business, your small business, to run better, to save costs, and to innovate and create a product that customers are really happy and delighted to engage with.
Yes, we're talking about AWS, but just cloud technology in general and how they are emerging and taking on really the big brands because now they are at a level playing field. And a last question for you. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience with before we wrap it up?
I think just resonating on those key themes, like be alive and open to getting yourself trained up. Go and play around on the AWS console. Have a look at what services you could potentially use to help you to move your business to the cloud, simply because it's going to do those things that we just talked about. It will save you money, address the process time that your teams are spending on things that could be done in an automated fashion. Anything that you do manually now, things like just filling out receipts, all of that sort of stuff, which continues to be manual in a lot of small businesses, this is stuff that can start to be done in a cloud context very easily. So all I would say is everyone out there who is running a business, regardless of big or small, there's just so much upside to looking at the way technology can help you run your business and keep your customers and also your teams and your people happy.
So would you say the summary of it is be open to change?
That's a wonderful summary. Be open and plan for it.
Yes. Plan and be open for change. That's a great ending for it. So, folks, I want to thank Anna Green for joining me, head SMB for Asia Pacific and Japan for AWS Web Services. This is really awesome. I had a great conversation around it. Anna, thanks for joining me.
That is my pleasure, John. And as usual, fantastic job. Thanks for a really interesting conversation.
All right, everybody. Guess what? Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify because, as always, we got more awesome content on the way. Anna, thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. We're out of here.